Welcome back, data leaders and Python learners to Insight Builder channel. Transforming your data workflow with DBT from raw to BI ready using DBT. What's the problem we are facing? Tracking the data model across the development timeline of the ETL is extremely tough. Okay, now questions. What is an ETL? ETL is extract, transform, load activity that the developers do during the development of the application. The application could be a simple business intelligence dashboard, or it could be a very complicated application working with the enterprise data. But at the end of the day, it is going to be working with raw data. During the development, there will be series of challenges that the developers will face, and they will modify the data according to their requirement. But when they are modifying this data, in order to track this modification, there will not be any documentation. And even in the ETL pipeline that they are writing, it might involve Python code, or it might involve big data pipeline. But all this code, documenting that step by step will be difficult. So in order to make this documentation easy, there has to be some other method. Second challenge is that implementing CI/CD, that is continuous integration, continuous deployment pipeline. So this way of doing development is, whenever you make any changes in the development, you can immediately do a CI/CD testing. So you can check whether it gets integrated, the change in the development code gets integrated easily with the actual production code, can be checked. So such a process is called a CI/CD pipeline. But if you don't have a proper documentation or a proper code, automated way of checking the schema or checking the data model in our pipeline, it will be very difficult to implement CI/CD. Again, schema version. So in databases, there will be lots of schemas, and the same schema might get changed many times during the development. How to keep track of those changes? Another challenge is that schema is for one table, but what if we create multiple tables? How will you know what is the purpose of the tables that we created? All these things are tackled by DBT library. In Python, in order to get the DBT library, we have to do a pip install dbt core. So this is what you have to do. And you can get more information about this library from this website. This website has a lot of good information about how to work with this library, a lot of detailed examples also. Along with that, you need to have some basics of SQL also, as we will be extensively working with SQL. The guest starrer here is actually put in star mark, because the guest starrer here is going to be outside Python environment. It is called as dbeaver. Dbeaver is an application that is almost similar to DBT, but it does not do any kind of checking, or it does not help in CI/CD pipeline. But it can help you to maintain the schema version. It can help you to understand why multiple tables are created, because all the SQL that you write in dbeaver will be maintained as separate scripts. So I will take a separate video on dbeaver, but I just want to introduce dbeaver also in this video. Also, there is one more library called as Great Expectations in Python itself, but the purpose of that library is little different. It will actually check the data quality. So in case if you think DBT is like a data quality checker, no, DBT does not check the data quality. It checks the data schema, the table schema, and the number of tables and all those stuff. So just clarifying that if you get a doubt like that. So where to start? It always starts with the raw data. We have to connect the DBT core to our database where the raw data comes and sits. And then we can check the schema of the model that is already available inside the database by running the DBT tool. After that, we can start writing our own schema models and run the tool again, and we can transform the data. You know the benefit? All the models, the DBT models, are stored locally as Python-like files, like scripts. So these scripts can be pushed to GitHub or Git repo, and the version control can be maintained. This is how DBT works. So this is what I have told. So simple way to connect, there is a profile.yaml file that we can use to connect with the database, and then DBT tool provides init and debug command to check whether you are connected. We can use Git to do the version control. We can do all the SQL commands transformation. So DBT is basically an interface. So if you are going to interface to a Snowflake cluster, it can do all the SQL commands that works with Snowflake. If you are going to interface with Postgres, it will do all the SQL commands that Postgres supports. So DBT is basically interface. Since the schema models can be stored locally and you can write it as scripts, very complicated modeling, data modeling, and new table creations can be done in the script itself. Why this is an advantage, you might be wondering. If you have to create a new table in the regular way fashion, you have to go to the command prompt and use the Postgres client, or you have to go to the clusters command prompt and use the command line interface to create the schema. But now you are going to use text files, and then the text files are going to be read by DBT and the tables will be created. So that is a very powerful way of working with the database. Okay, so this is the overall picture that I wanted to share about DBT process. The same, we have to get the data, we have to do the ETL, and then we have to automate the process. First, getting the data, we have to connect to the database, then we start writing the models, and we can then do the ETL transformations, and then we can do the automation process. This automation process is very, very important and very interesting also, because DBT provides a way to document all the models automatically. You will see how this works when we go and do the examples in the next video. And these documents can be accessed with the team, and this document is shareable outside your team also. So you can actually print it out and you can share it outside also. And you can make it as a kind of a playbook that, okay, all the people who are going to come into your team has to follow this document. So such a kind of a streamlined process you can create using DB2. So next we are going to head to the terminal. In case of DBT, we have to work extensively with DBT terminal, your command prompt, Python code and scripts, and also you have to work with GitHub repo. So this is going to be very involved presentation. The next video will have a lot of examples and lot of back and forth between multiple locations. Multiple locations like your Python script, the Postgres database. I'll be using Postgres database. The Postgres database command line client. I will not be using any other GUI tool. I'll be extensively using command line options only. And then, working with GitHub, pushing the schema to GitHub, checking the schema has been updated there. Such kind of things we will be looking in the next video. After that, we will. So this is one of the major, breakthroughs that we have seen in Python and data world. So if you like the content of this video, do leave a like, and if you have any comments, do leave a comment in the comment section. Do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon so that whenever I update the videos, you will get the notification at your end. After the example video where I explain the DBT tool, I will go further and start explaining the Python data API libraries. So that is a different set of libraries which work in providing the data from other APIs. So other APIs like PyTube, World Bank API, Fred API. So all those things, even National Stock Exchange API. So there is an API, Python API for that also. We will be looking into that in the coming videos. So stay tuned for my next video on DBT tool and on other videos on Python libraries. Till then, stay tuned guys and have a great time.